Welcome to the show. Find a cup of justice in the face. Control from no drink. Here we go. Welcome to the show. Find a cup of justice in the mix. Green with no tricks. Saturdays are day to shine. Focus on books and storylines. From trauma commentary. Anybody who never scary. Well, just a strong thing in his tongue. And vibes carry us down. You might let the truth be known. Like it's a big too bold. Deep dive into legal scenes. Breaking down what justice means. And letting every clue we find. No stone left behind, no mind left behind.
All right, I'm still gonna have to work on that. Hmm. All right, so that works. All right, I'm still working on this. Hmm. All right, well, I know you can hear me because I just heard me. Okay, so that's pretty good. Go, Momo. You're getting a little better at this thing. All right, so tonight's broadcast is going to be a limited edition because you know the Knicks are playing. And so we only got a couple of minutes. But I wanted to make sure that I still went live and managed the expectation. Now, what am I? Hold up. Hold up. Let me roll up. So this should have, I wonder why I don't have that up there. You know, every day is something new with this thing. All right, let me go to the Zoom meeting. Let me see how that's gonna look. Does that look good over there? Is it gonna change over there? That delay is serious. Hmm. But I wonder what else I need to do on my end. Okay. So now that part is correct. So why don't I have video, the camera? All right, hold on a minute. Let me go to studio mode and let me see what's going on with the camera. If not, I just won't have a camera today. This should be the camera. Where's the camera at up here? The camera's there, but where's the camera? That's the virtual camera. All right, today we might not have a camera, and I ain't even gonna be mad at myself because I'm just gonna keep it pushing. All right, so we're waiting for Miss Indy. Miss Indy has been so wanting to speak about this trial with Sean John Combs. So me, I was gonna recuse myself from it for personal reasons, but you know, it is what it is. That's all I have to say at this moment. What did I do to, you know what? Maybe I'm in the wrong. Hold up. So this is here because I see me over here just as clear as day. Oh, you know what? You know I'm biased. Let me just close this one down because I'm I'm a hot mess. You know what I think is? I think I got two OBS open. Control Alt Delete. Control Alt Delete. I think what y'all gonna see is my name for a minute because I'm about to turn one of these jokers off. I do have two of them open. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I am gonna exit out of this one. I just picked one to end. All right, today we're gonna have to do with no backdrop. Mm, hold on a minute. Let me just go to. I want to do something else. Oh, it did turn off the camera. Okay. Hold on a moment. Let me just go to the Zoom. There's the Zoom. Let me turn off the camera on the Zoom. I'm telling you, this delay is serious. Why do I have this message right here? All right. I did not come in through. How did I start this? I went live through Zoom. All right. So because I went live through Zoom, all right, she said to give her 10 minutes. She don't know that the Knicks are playing, but you know, we good. We good. Anyway, anyway, I'm gonna exit out of this thing. I really hate to do it. No, I should be fine because I'm just gonna exit out of that. That's what's up. And then I'm gonna come over here and I am going to open it again. To see, I ain't playing with it and it ain't playing with me. All right, so we're gonna say cancel on that one. Then we're gonna come over here and we're gonna manage the broadcast. We're gonna select over here. We're gonna select that one. Okay. Then we're gonna come over here and we are going to, all right. I got it. Hold up. Hold up. Let me roll up. So let me see. Let me turn the camera. Oh, start there. All right. So now we're going to turn this part off. Let me check the sound. Hold up. Okay. Sound is good. That's good. Now, the only other thing I didn't test was what screen we was going to be looking at when the person arrived. All right. All right. So, if you don't know, now I don't know it. You got to be under a rock not to know that the Diddy case is out here or they call the Puffy case is out here. And I'll just go to my little notes. How they in quarter three already? Oh, no, they just put the next 24 minutes are going to be so challenging here in New York. Okay. Y'all know I'll be sitting up here doing too much. All right. All right, hold up. I need to Monica. I'm looking for my. I sent you an email. You got the email earlier today? I meant to tell you that. I sent you an email. It had the link. It has the link inside of the email. It has a link inside the email. That's okay. It took me this long to deal with the technical issues, but I'm getting better. It only took me 10 minutes to figure that out. Sorry about that. I'm also going to learn how to edit some darn videos so that look at that. I just love when my emojis come all over the screen. N- okay. You want me to put it inside the chat? I could put it inside the chat. It's just I don't want to be ransacked up here. All right. So, and I don't know how the screen is going to turn when both of us is up here. That's going to be a whole nother project. Cause I'm back to using my Zoom. Shout out to Zoomy, Zoom. All I want to do is I gotta get my Zoom inside one of these boxes. But that's so crazy. Okay, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. She said, "No, let me look." Oh yeah, cause I need to get that thing up there. All right. So, what? Okay, hold on a minute. Hold up. Copy invite to keyboard. Paste. Okay. Hold up. Let me roll up. We're gonna lose time. No, they is actually playing. It's 61 to 48. You know. Mm, 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 mm. Ugh. Now it's 50 to 64. Oh my. This is gonna be one of these nights. And I probably got version type security on here. Okay. What else? What else? What else? All right. Let me get to my summary page. So, if you don't know, Sean John Combs, also known as Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, or Diddy, he's a rapper, record producer. Ooh, we got a knock knock. Yes, I do that. We got a knock knock. Let me see how we want to view this. Speaker view. No, we want to do. Okay, while Miss Indy is setting up her, you setting up her microphone. I'll just continue, right? Um, he's a record producer, uh, in the hip hop industry, known for founding um Bad Boy Records in 1993. Et cetera, et cetera. I ain't into this rap music. If you don't know, I don't know what to tell you. Did that help out? Mm, I see she has a mic and a camera. So we're just waiting. Anyway, he was indicted a couple of months ago on federal charges, including racketeering, trafficking, um, the transport and transportation, along with prostitution. The indictment alleges he led a criminal enterprise involving various illicit activities, including abuse, threats, coercion of women, multiple individuals, including his former girlfriend Cassie and former employees now. Well, now you're gonna have two up here. Hold, should I remove this one right here? So let me remove. No, just remove. No.
Child, your security be doing way much. I kept saying, it's Indy. It's Indy. What do you mean? It was like, no, she didn't tell us anybody was coming. I was like, man, I'm here though. I'm here. You got to give me a pass.
I gotta get you a pass. All right. I gotta figure that out because yeah, I got virgin tight security on Zoom. They know it because they don't get to just zoom in my room. All I wanna do is let me zoom. All right, so the score is 50-66. I'm sorry, you know I'm a Knicks fan. But I can't sit here and watch the game tonight because I'm too annoyed by it.
It'll be all
Any,
right. It'll be all right. So how
anyway,
far have you gotten?
I was just giving a breakdown of the indictment, a summary basically. The indictment alleges that he led a criminal enterprise involving various illicit activities, including abuse, threats, and coercion of women, multiple individuals, including his former girlfriend and former employees have testified against him, detailing allegations of physical violence, sexual abuse, and other disturbing incidents. He pled not guilty to all charges. In today's description, I included that as of last night, when I was making this description, he had a pending motion to dismiss, which is something we're going to talk about because I can't stand Brian Steele's I knew this was a tactic of his. So, so he had a motion to dismiss. Mm, and it was denied this morning. It had something to do with the way that the prosecution questioned one of the witnesses. So they filed a motion to dismiss. But I wonder, did they file it in writing or did he just stand up there and do one of those stupid, I move, I have a motion, Your Honor, and then they had to get the jury out, and then he made the motion. They don't play that in federal court. Like I don't even understand these people. They got rules of engagement and everything else. So let me welcome Miss Indy to the show. Hey, Miss Indy.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm so excited about this topic. I have to admit, on the day that I know that we were going to speak about this, I didn't watch none of the stuff on Diddy today, but I do. I just been busy, I've been up and running and stuff. I mean, I got bits and pieces. I was listening over there just really quickly, just for a giggle. I happened to see Armand Wiggins, and I walked in on the part where he was describing the the prosecutors, the six white women, and he was like, "Let me tell you, they all came in there with their hair pulled back with ponytails on." And he was like, even one of them had two ponytails. It was like they was ready to fight. This is getting critical. It was just the way that he described their demeanor, and like everybody had their hair pulled back. I was just I was
For the
tickled.
motion to dismiss.
No, just overall, how they showed up for court today, how they walked in, the prosecution, all of them had their hair pulled back as if they were ready to fight. And that was just an observation that Armand had noticed. And I just got a cackle out of that.
Well, you know what? When I have certain things happen in the office, we do have a certain look. Like if we do
Mm-hmm.
all look about the same, wear the same color. Like it'll be like today's the day we're gonna do blue. Like we're all going in blue. Hey Beachy, I'm gonna have to take a pause for a minute. Of course you can use um go fraud me. But it will not be a word that we retire in 2025
Hey,
because
Beachy.
these people are crazy. You know, Beach?
I've seen Beach around. Hey, Beachy. I've seen Beach. Yeah, she has a beautiful daughter. I know she plays piano. Yeah,
Yes,
I
she
know Beach.
does. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey,
Yes,
girl.
she
Hey,
does.
girl. Hey, girl.
You know what's so good about Beach, right? She's a friend of the channel.
Mm-hmm.
And I, I met her because somebody was being messy. And then we just became YouTube buddies. And
Mm.
I've never spoken to her off the platform and everything, and we ain't never had no problem. Ain't that about nothing? And that's it.
Mm.
And I got much love for her. Um, moving on. I swear I can't make this stuff up. Go ahead. Oh, it must be about the game. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that tonight was the game too. It's
So
52 to
are
66, so everyone's gonna be
so
calling.
you're down or you up? And I'm trying to hold on.
We up.
Oh, okay.
We up. We
What
up.
quarter?
But girl, this the third quarter, 7 minutes left.
Okay. Okay. Keep your composure, Mo. You
Girl,
got
you
this.
so listen, look what she wrote in the chat. She said,
I see her.
child.
I see
Girl,
her.
girl, I'm gonna have to come over to your town and talk about it. Today we're supposed to be really focused. We're supposed to be focused on our focus.
Shout
So,
out to the pink and green.
mm,
Those are
so,
her colors.
I know, I know, I
Yeah.
know.
I watch Beachy.
Um,
I watch Beachy.
all right. So they requested a mistrial based on the prosecution's questioning about the destruction of fingerprints. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. This was in the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the what's that guy's
With
name?
the Molotov Kid Cudi.
Him, Kid Cudi vehicle. So destruction of fingerprint cards related to an incident involving Kid Cudi. The defense argued this implied Combs was responsible for destroying evidence. How do you get that? Who collects fingerprints? Did you hear anything about this fingerprint stuff?
Not in whole, but you know, they have a crime scene unit, I would assume, that would come there and, you know,
Oh,
look
so
for fingerprints.
you didn't hear nothing about this. We'll
This
come back.
was yeah, yeah.
You ain't heard about this.
I have
It
not
says
heard. I've only heard what you just said and something about it being one glove found in the back seat or something, and they didn't know who the glove belonged to, and yeah.
so it says the judge denied the motion and instructed the jury to disregard the questions. So it sounds like any questions related to the fingerprint cards were being disregarded. This is the unfortunate nature of having a federal case and not having the ability to see it with our own two eyes and ears as the whole public.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the
Mm-hmm.
federal court is still practicing as if they were in the beginning of the 19th century or the 18th century. All right. Let's talk about some of the witness testimony, or do you really want to go through the indictment?
No, that's fine. We can start there. Well, let me say this. With Cassie being, I think she was a second witness, a lot of talk has been surrounding a, around her or she and her testimony, and whether the consensus that I've got by just going channel to channel and look at different subscribers was that she was cheating on Diddy, and that she was a prostitute, and that she paid for it and she enjoyed it. Now, I'm not going to debate back and forth on that aspect, but the bottom line, if something is illegal going on, whether a person agrees to do it or not, does that all of a sudden make that not illegal? You can't, if something is illegal, you cannot do it. You cannot, well, I get people having, big orgies or things like that. People could do what they want in their bedrooms, have as many people as they want to. When you start exchanging money, not even exchanging, it's going one way, and there are deductions and all this stuff for the sole practice of that sexual act, that is an absolute problem. And we haven't even got to the part of the over the state lines, commerce and all this other stuff. So I just wanted to say, as far as Cassie, the prosecution did say that, she's not even the star witness. But a lot of people, because I think her name is most known, or most said, if people just know who she is. So she's the most zoned in on. But a lot of the witnesses, if these transcripts are correct, and if with these people who are inside of the courtroom, if what they're saying is accurate and correct on what they're seeing, then the defense is going to have a big problem, in my opinion. And that's just thus
The
far.
defense. Okay, so according to, you lost me with the ends, because if Cassie is being painted as a prostitute, what makes that defense problem?
Because
Because
no,
no prostitute. So
what I'm saying is they're getting away from, and I understand, because everybody's not going to, look at what they should be looking at, but they're so caught up in the sexual stuff of it and everything, and not the actual charges that he's facing, and how in conjunction, you need more than one brick to build a brick house. And so as they lay these bricks, to me, in my eyes, it's becoming clear with in regards to the allegations that are in the indictment. Some people haven't read the full indictment. Some people don't know what the elements are for sex trafficking and or racketeering, and they don't know how to, to see if these elements fit on with the testimony that we believe to be true that's coming out of the courthouse. We really don't know, as you said. We can only go about what we hear from what I've heard so far. And listen, we're only week 2, week 3 or something like that. There's still a few more witnesses to go. I'm real interested to see how they defend. Even so far, they waste a lot of time with Cassie, in my opinion, and not really, damaging her credibility in the way that they should have or could have. The testimony, from what I heard from people who were in the courthouse, was that Diddy was sliding notes to the attorney that was questioning Cassie, and those questions had nothing to do with damaging her credibility or poking holes in her story. It was about, was she cheating or didn't she cheat, and then once she was done, the defense asked for her to come back, now they want to re-question her because now they've wasted all this time, and unfortunately they weren't able to get her back.
why weren't they able to get her back?
They weren't able to get her back because prior to all of this, it was agreed that she would be there for a limited time, and for whatever amount of days that they agreed on, and that's what they did. So the judge was unwilling to force them, to have her come back.
Interesting.
And some
Okay.
say, one more thing, Mo, and some say that was part of strategy. I've heard people saying, well, they wanted her up there so that they can stress her into maybe going into preterm labor or labor water break or something. And, maybe over the night or hell, if they can, I'm sorry, no cussing, but if they can get her on the stand in her water break, that's even better. In their minds, they can move for mistrial. She wouldn't be able to be cross-examined and all this other stuff. So I don't blame anybody. I want to say this, for fighting for their life. I don't blame anybody for fighting for their life. Um, it's just interesting to hear this testimony, though. I just don't see how they're going to beat it if the jury believes it, and that's really all that matters. Who, excuse me, who and what does the jury believe?
You said a mouthful. Let's unpack some of that, right? Let's unpack it. This is Indian Eye, Miss Indian Eye. We are just two paralegals shooting the breeze on a topic that is of, interest in the public domain.
Mhm.
Again, I have said that I have a bias in support of Diddy, not because of I just I'm eh. So I'm pro defendant until everyone's innocent until proven guilty. And what I'm hearing and how I process the information that I'm getting from out of the courtroom or the pundits that are out there. It's just that a lot of evidence as it relates to Cassie was presented that could lead to domestic violence, right? That you would see it as a domestic violence case. But are you really seeing the evidence in the light of trafficking of her? I didn't know they was labeling her or someone labeled her as a prostitute. Like, I didn't know that was
Well, not
the
not
the
not prostitute,
inference.
not prostitute in the terms of she's out there. I mean, that he was prostituting her per se, in the terms of they were calling her like a whore because she allegedly was cheating on P. Diddy with whoever, Cudi, and I think was another guy. Someone testified that he had hooked her up with at a point where Diddy was running around with Gina, allegedly.
Who's Gina? The
The Asian girl that went on Natasha K and said that he stumped a baby out of her stomach.
All right, I know none of this stuff. I know none of this. Okay, so that's very interesting. I know nothing about any of this stuff. Okay, so we know that she testified. I'm gonna have to keep score around here. Oh, it's 74 just for the people that are wondering about the Knicks. It's 74 to 60. Okay, and we got a long way to go. Is that 4 minutes left? Okay. So, according to my notes, it says several witnesses have testified, including Cassie Ventura, which I'm a girlfriend. And her testimony. Other witnesses, including the former stylist for Combs and Ventura, have corroborated claims of violence and threats. Right. So I heard so far that it sounded more like a domestic violence case, other than this trafficking. So with the exception of the few folks that have testified that they were the workers that came to service the two of them, and who paid for the services or who requested the services seem to have always been Cassie so far in the folks that testified thus far. Does that make sense to you, or did you hear anything differently?
Yes, I do agree with what you said, that she was the one mainly or mostly making the appointments and setting things up other people were also doing it, and they also testified, well, from what we hear, we're not in the court, that it was at his request. That's to be proven, but they're putting it off, on him. He is the kingpin. He's the one funding all of this, which is why I believe they're going with the racketeering, which that racketeering law came in for like drug lords in the beginning, because they understood that there was a person at the top paying these little, the people at the bottom to go run and do all this crime, and their hands were always clean. So they
The
got the racket.
racketeering, racket,
Yes,
racketeering began with the mob, not drug
right.
lords.
That's what I just said.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought you said drug lords.
Well, mob, drug lord, all that. Well, I'm from California, so I know you probably see things differently, or I see things differently, but that's all the same thing to me. They're the
To
kingpin.
you,
The-
to
They're the
you, to you, but we
Well,
to
we
you.
can take the
That's
titles out of
personal.
it. We can take the titles out of it completely. Who the person who's running the enterprise, the person who's paying everybody. Nobody's paying this person. He's paying everybody to go do these things, to go pick up pills in his name until he wore it out, and then use different multiple other people's names and stuff like that. So that racketeer, but these are his employees. So I think this is where they're trying to pull this all together.
When you have a racketeering case, right, you have to prove that the enterprise was engaging in criminal acts. That's the only thing you have to prove as it. The racketeering part of it is just proving that there was criminal acts, that the enterprise engaged in criminal acts.
Is that not criminal act, getting illicit and illegal drugs off the streets and prescription through other people, and you're paying for it, and they're testifying that yes, I did this. At times he reimbursed people. There was one guy testified and said he used a black card to get some of this stuff. So I don't know. We just have to see. We have to see how the jury takes this, and if they follow the rule of law, and how the defense. I just want to wait for the defense and just see how they have how they. Do you think Brian Steele will lead the defense? Or I know I see your face with Brian
I
Steele.
agree. No, I agree with you that you need to wait for. I'm not an anti Brian Steele person. I just understand what his role is, and his role is that of a appeals attorney. So, uh, it's another one of those days. Okay, you so fast. I'm processing what you said because it's two things at once. I know you ended with the Brian Still part, what I think about him, but you said something before that that I wanted to elaborate on. You should be waiting to the end of the state as the state rests its case and see if the defense is going to put on a case um, that if the prosecution has met their burden. Um, mm, mm. You know what's so bad about it? I don't have I love your enthusiasm as it relates to the case. I just ain't got it. And it doesn't have to do with it has nothing to do with the issues that are there cuz I believe that women have uh I'm not going to negate a woman's claims of being abused because I'm just going to take it at face value, right? But I do believe that in this instance and in that environment that they're in, my bias towards it is that some people put themselves and their bodies in certain situations because they wanted the advancement of whatever that power. I think of money, power, respect, right? So they got the money, they got the power, but they never got the respect. So now we get to trials, right? And this is where they begin to build up their respect or self-esteem and all that other stuff. I'm just not here for it. Um, so I guess I'm not that enthusiastic.
I'm
I'm so
enthusiastic,
sorry.
not just about this case. Me personally, I'm enthusiastic about justice, period. And whether that be for the defendant and they're vindicated or for the victim. So I just take the evidence as I see it and as it comes out as best we can. And we both agree we don't even the transcripts. So like we don't, that they're putting out and not from the court transcripts, the transcripts from I think it's called I forget the guy that tweets out, bits and pieces of what's going on. But I want to, as far as that RICO, when I'm looking at the elements, oh,
Are
did
you
you say
looking
you
at
didn't
the
want to talk?
element? Are you looking at the elements from the federal side of RICO? Or are you looking at the elements from a state side like California? Or are you just looking at federal RICO Act?
Well, I had looked up Fed earlier. Hold on. Let me go back up in here.
Where's the da-da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. I have that thing that you sent me. Where is it? Where is it?
Okay.
Hold, I'm looking for the
1962.
my email. Oh, you know why? Because I'm over here. I need to go here.
I think they may for the racketeering. I'm just looking at the activity that's listed for racketeering. There's a bunch of them: mail fraud, wire fraud, drug trafficking is one of them, and I think that may be one of the things that they may be trying to implicate, and also kidnapping and arson are also listed as racketeering
Well, arson is a
for federal
racketeering. All right. So arson is one of the
core
I don't know if
felonies.
they call it a predate I don't know if they call it um it's one of the underlying acts, and that's
Mhm.
why the guy's car being set on fire is an important part of the trial, because that could be considered that could be one of the things that if they believe that he caused the fire bomb. But I thought it was a female's
And the
car that was.
kidnapping. It stipulates kidnapping if connected to the enterprise. And this woman that's claiming I wasn't there to be
Yeah,
kidnapped.
but you fast forward it. You fast
I'm
forward it.
sorry.
We was
I'm
talking
sorry.
about the arson as being one of the things.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
The guy Cuddy, his car, that's why it was introduced as one of the incidents, or one
Mhm.
of the act. So it was being introduced as a criminal act in furtherance of the RICO. So that would be interesting. That makes it interesting that's why that was put there. But
Well,
go
I'll
ahead to
say
the next
this.
one. Go
I'm
ahead to the
sorry.
next one. You was gonna go to the next one.
Well, I wanted to say this on that though. Dang, it just slipped my mind. So okay. So I didn't the conduct as listed, and this is section 1962, all that stuff. So the conduct as listed, it says the defendant must have conducted or participated in the conduct of the enterprise's affairs. This means they had some control or direction over the enterprise, not just involvement. Okay, that's one. And they said of an enterprise, there must be an enterprise which can be a legal entity, corporation, partnership, or an association. In fact, a group of individuals associated for a common purpose. The
Yeah, that would
enterprise
be a
must
gang.
the enter
So that
well, I'm thinking they're going for the first one, a legal entity. His
correct,
businesses were a legal entity. I think they're going with
correct.
that.
Correct. But when you're talking about that person one, I just was making a distinction that that would
Okay.
be if you were trying to prove that people were part of a gang, and then you want to say the gang was racketeering, because the gang doesn't isn't normally a gang wouldn't be considered having a legal business that you could go over, that you can go through, right? But
Hmm.
so that's why they put that one
You
there.
are
But
correct in the,
in Go ahead.
I'm sorry, you are correct in the predicate acts. At least two need to be there within 10 years. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Okay, so when was Cuddy's car burnt?
Oh, I don't know the years of that.
Hold, hold up. His kid, right? Cuddy.
And the acts must be related and show continuity, not isolated incidents. So that's the end of that part. So we can just step, I'll stop there.
All right, so the car was so Kid Cudi's car fire occurred on January 9th, 2012.
Mhm.
So if what you read as being the it may not qualify as being as something you would consider.
I think it would. Let me tell you why. They said at least two predicate acts within 10 years. Now they explain what the acts and activities are, and that falls, like I was saying, the drug trafficking, um, the kidnapping, all of those things are within 10 years. Do I have the exact dates? No, but he's done at least two, within the
Okay,
10 years.
okay. But if the burning of the car occurred in 2012 and he's on trial in 2025, right? That is 13 years later.
I get it, but who said
So
that that's what
does
they're
this
going by? They could be going by the kidnapping and the drug trafficking. No
they
one said
if
they have
they
to use that.
wasted their time if they wasted their time to put the witness on to talk about the incident, that's the arson, right? If they put
He
the
spoke,
person on there
yes,
to describe the
yes.
arson, right? They want them to consider the arson. But
That
if the
wasn't his
arson is
sole
not,
testimony.
no, that was one of the things, and
Right.
that would be one of the one of the acts.
Correct.
Oh,
Correct.
it would be one of the acts. So if it's outside of the outside the time,
They would
it
have
can't
to
be considered.
disregard his testimony. I mean,
No,
in
it's
that
not a
regard.
disregard. No, it's that you couldn't say. So when they go to closing arguments, or when they go to present it to the jurors as something for them to consider, if it's outside of the time period, like they can do
Mm-hmm.
testimony, right? But when they
Mm-hmm.
get to send the charges back to the jury for consideration, it might not qualify as an act that gets to go back there for them to consider. So it makes it prejudicial if it's something that was evidence in the trial that you could not use in consideration later on, but you can't unthink it when you go back there to deliberate. So that's like stacking the deck against the defendant. Like you shouldn't be able to put forth a whole incident that they're not going to be able to consider later on in the deliberation if it's outside the scope of the time.
I can
But
wholeheartedly agree with that.
as a defendant, you might let it in because if it becomes something that they considered and it was outside the scope, it becomes an appealable item, and you can get a reverse. So they say it becomes a reversible error, and you can get the case thrown out,
I
or
don't
you
know
can.
so much, and I agree with you. I agree, and that's way out of the scope as far as the timeline. But if the prosecution's intent, he would have to testify because the other lady, what is her, Capricorn, had testified. Well, they knew that she was going to testify that how Diddy came in to her home, which he had never been to her home. She says that he banged on her door, and she was afraid, and she opened the door, and he of course told her to get dressed. She said she didn't. Well, he asked for Kid Cudi by his government name. And she did not know him by his government name. So she was like, who? And then he said something else. She was like, oh, Cudi? He was like, yeah, I'm finna go kill that nigga, get dressed. She says that she told him that she did not want to go. He forced her, roughed her up, whatever, threw her in the car. They had a driver because she knew where the person lived. They had a driver per Cassie. So the driver was driving. She says that she was in the back seat along with P. Diddy, and he had a gun across his lap. All this stuff went up there and happened. So if she's going to say all this stuff happened, I can see why they would have Kid Cudi testify to affirm that, not necessarily to bring that specific arson up to 2025, but what they can do, which is still within the racketeering activity, is use that kidnapping and also that drug trafficking. The
Okay,
arson,
where was it? Okay, where was the kidnapping part of the story related to Kid Cudi?
the kidnapping part was the lady that he went to her house. He forced her. That's kidnapping. He forced her to move from one place to another. She did not
Okay,
want to
where did
go.
he force her to move to?
From her house into a black Escalade to go to the Hollywood Hills or wherever they went, to Kid Cudi's house. That's the kidnapping. And this, from her testimony, happened more than once, not with him making her go to Kid Cudi's house more than once, but that how he had forced her to do things, drive things, forcing her to do things. But this specific, that could be the only reason why I can understand why Kid Cudi would be testifying, because I agree with you, it's outside the scope. But if they're using him to back up what she says, this actually happened and blah, 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 I get it, because they still would have him on the drug trafficking and the kidnapping as far as the racketeering. And maybe even extortion. That's one of them too. Her mother claims that they were extorted. He gave the money back. But so what? If I rob a bank and get away and feel bad
The
after 4 days and take
corporation
it back,
gave the money back. The
yeah,
corporation gave the money back.
whoever, but the crime was done. Once he demanded it in that fashion and they sent it, the crime is over with. I can't take the money back to the bank after 4 days and say I'm sorry. I'm going to be charged with that. So just because he gave the money back doesn't mean nothing. So they really have three out of the racketeering activity so far, if we are to
Okay.
believe the testimony.
So there is a racketeering charge. There are 2 counts of trafficking for pleasure, and 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. So for the racketeering conspiracy charge, you need these criminal acts that you're speaking on to make that charge reign, to prove that charge of racketeering and conspiracy. Um, so everything you're describing, kidnapping or any other, but it has, so the black SUV, who owned it? Oh, they didn't get to that
That
yet.
came back to Bad Boys Records. And how that came back was when the police officer was dispatched to the house. As he approached the house, he testified that he saw a black Escalade sitting in front of Kid Cudi's house. Well, he didn't say his name, of course, but sitting in front of the residence as he was approaching it. That black Escalade pulled off as he was approaching. He said it seemed suspicious, but he didn't have any reason to go after them. He didn't know what was going on the inside of this residence, but he did take down the license plates number. And so once they went in or whatever, did the investigation, blah, 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 he says that he ran the license plate and it came back to Bad Boy Records at the scene of the crime.
Okay. And at the scene of the crime, who did he arrest that day?
The crime was, what was a crime? The crime, I don't think they arrested anybody because they didn't have, wasn't that the fingerprints or something on the inside? There was, well, no one was arrested. He didn't say anything was taken. He said Christmas gifts were open, things were thrown around. I guess his dog had been locked in the bathroom or terrorized or however or whatever. I did not hear of any type of an arrest back then at that time. So even if they did see the car, Bad Boy Records pulling away, if they don't have any evidence on the inside, and I'm just wondering why Kid Cudi even then, why you don't have cameras outside your house, dude? You in the Hollywood Hills, like I don't know, just living carefree, I guess, but they because there were no cameras, you know what I'm saying, out there. People were allegedly were able to walk all the way up his driveway, which by the pictures, I mean, it's a very long driveway. It looked like you can put a bunch of cars in it. So his Porsche that was burned was the first car in the front next to the garage of the doorway. There were allegedly two other cars parked behind that car. So this person had to do all this stuff, like for that not to be seen, like he should have had cameras in the first place, but that's neither here nor there.
So you remember that the document you sent me, the superseding indictment, in paragraph 6, right? This is where they started to talk about what the enterprise is, and how they begin to all the other paragraphs before it, 1 through 5, is background overview, just I call it dicta, but chatter. From at least in or about 2004 through in or about 2024. So they're saying between the period of those 20 years, which is 2 decades, the defendant and others known and unknown were members and associates of a criminal organization, the enterprise, right? Members and associates of the Combs enterprise engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other activities, trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution, coercion, and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotic offenses, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Okay, so as I dig deeper, it's not paragraph 7, paragraph 8, I think it was. The Combs Enterprise constituted an ongoing organization whose members functioned as a continuing unit for a common purpose of achieving the objectives of Combs Enterprise. All right, so remember, Combs Enterprise is the members and the associates, right? So this is not a business right here. This is them making a group of people similar to a gang. So like remember in the YSL case, you had YSL was the gang. So instead, they've taken Combs and the people in his organization who are probably going to be the employees and grouped them together and have called them the Combs Enterprise. So they're not using the organization. They're not using his company. They're actually using him and the people that are around him, which would be the members of his staff or whatever that came out of the company. So that's a little bit different. And I found that to be interesting. Because the whole time we thought it was going to be the Bad Boy label itself. But they're doing the people that were around him and the people around
Hence
him.
the racketeering.
We this is the racketeering charge.
Yeah.
So why you say hence the racketeering?
Well, because whether it's through from his business or whatever, I've logged out of that what I was looking at, but what they were saying was whether it was a legit business, or as you said, or organized gang or whatever. I believe they're using the first one because these are his employees.
No, they're not using the first one. They're using the second one. They first making them into a gang, and then the
Mhm.
gang put their money into this organization, or their acts furthered the organization.
Oh,
The
I get it.
organization funded it, whatever. So first they've definitely like if this was the mob, they would use the mob, the members of the mob, and they would
Mhm.
first find all the members of the mob. So in this instance, they used Diddy and all other people in his organization or his associates that were involved in in this thing, and then they push it through to the enterprise. It says the Comb Enterprise, right? So that's what they
Mhm.
call. So when you see the Comb Enterprise, you know now that that is him and the people that he's associated with, right? So that's separate from the business, right? So the Comb Enterprise consisted so where the Comb Enterprise, including its leadership, I'm at paragraph 7, its members and its associates constitute an enterprise as defined by Title 18 USC Code Section 1961 4,
Mhm.
subparagraph 4. That
Mhm.
is a group of individuals associated, in fact, although not a legal entity.
And I
So
understand that. And I think they're smart for wording it like that because they also said that if you were not a witness, then you were going to be a co-conspirator. So to word it like that, in my mind, I'm thinking that would be reference towards people, if you're not testifying for me, I'm going to label you as this.
the Combs enterprise consisted of, so now they told you that they're not an entity, they're not a business, right? But here's who it was: Diddy himself, right? Um, I love the way at the end he's AKA Love, the defendant. So, for the purposes of me talking anymore, it's just going to be defendant Combs, all right? So, defendant Combs, entities within the Combs business, including but not limited to Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs Enterprise, and Combs Global. Individuals employed by and associated with the Combs business, well, it's just business, and others known and unknown. So that's where now the business now gets grouped in with the enterprise, with the Combs
Right.
enterprise.
Right.
So it becomes him and the people as being the Combs enterprise net plus the business itself, the ones that he owns, the three that they label here, and its employees. Okay, so now the Combs enterprise, now that we got both portions, the people, um the non entity, let me use the not the non-legal entity, which is just a group of people, and the legal entity, which is something that you have a corporation behind. The Combs enterprise constitutes an ongoing organization whose members function as a continuing unit for a common purpose of achieving the objectives of Combs enterprise. The Combs enterprise was engaged in and its activities affected interstate and foreign commerce, right? So now this is where you have it going from one location to the next location, or one state to the next state, or to the next um, country. Okay. The Combs Enterprise operated in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere. At all times relevant to this indictment, Combs, the defendant, was the leader of the Combs Enterprise. So he's the leader. So he's calling the shots. Number 10, Combs, defending Combs and others known and unknown participated in unlawful and other activities related to the conduct of the Combs Enterprise affairs. These individuals included him, the business employees, such as members of Combs' security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and high ranking supervisors, as well as other close associates of Combs. So I want to stop there. Out of that group of people, has anyone testified security staff, household staff? We know that we heard from personal assistants. You want to give some flavor onto them, their
Um,
testimony?
I'm trying
What
to
you know, what
recall.
you heard, what you got.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Well, we
recall that.
know the personal.
Go ahead.
Remember the lady just testified this week, one of the personal assistants.
Yes.
What you
And
got? What you got for me?
the the lady Mia, who is anonymous, that's not her real name, and they even let the people,
Oh,
yeah, they even let the people in the courtroom know not to, give any identifying information about this lady. But how it was described was that Mia, when they called her into court, she entered court with 5 other women, which was a very good strategy, because if she's not trying to, they're saying if she would have, been there by herself, she would have stuck out. So she came in there 5 deep. She got on the stand, talking really low, and she basically gave, testimonies of what she saw and what she experienced. Some of the same testimony from the Danity Kane girl, I just can't think of her name, the black girl that testified. Diddy doesn't like any doors locked in his house, bedrooms or whatever. So she said this is what she testified, that she was at the house, she closed the door, went to bed, and when she woke up, she felt pressure on her chest and body, and she opened her eyes, and P. Diddy was on top of her, put his hand under her chin to close her mouth, whispered something in her ear. They did say, but I just don't recall what allegedly he said. And then he went, penetrated her, is what she testified to. And it was graphic because it wasn't a time when she definitely shouldn't have been penetrated, even if she
so
wanted to.
what years did she work for him, if you know?
Um, I don't know, Mo. I don't know offhand. I don't know offhand. I don't
Okay.
know offhand.
So
Um,
far we got some personal assistants who have testified. Um, yeah, I just
and and
remember
and
hearing that he had
assistance
an
of,
assistant.
and people that I guess maybe I don't know whether he hired them or Cassie hired them, but whoever was her stylist and people doing things for her, those people came up and testified too, on
Oh,
what they have seen, observed, or even had done things to them, men and women, cell phones thrown, ice buckets thrown at their heads. I mean, all kind of stuff. So they say. I wasn't there.
let me ask the question, right? Just out of curiosity, didn't he have like the making of the bands and all this other stuff?
He
Like,
yes, he did. And I Want to Work for Diddy. I remember watching I Want to Work for Diddy all those years ago. And he was over the top then. But if now I'm thinking about it, this is the time kind of that they're
that's
probably
what I was
talking about.
thinking.
Right. Now that I think about it, I didn't think about that.
But there was a lot of people, non-employees, like there's a lot of outsiders around them. I mean, this just
Yes,
seems
they
it just
were.
seems odd to me, but
You're right.
who am
They
I?
were. And he used them from her testimony to use their name for the different prescription drugs, because you get a limit per person. And the testimony was, once Didi used his up, a couple of the assistants, they admitted to using theirs and other people. So that's the testimony that they're saying as far as that.
So in the indictment, the purpose of the Combs enterprise, right? Of course, the enterprise is a global. So they describe what the enterprise is: preserving and protecting, promoting, and enhancing the power, reputation of the Combs brand, enriching members and associates of the enterprise, including its leader, and in particular, those who demonstrate loyalty to Combs and willingness to conceal his crimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, preserving, protecting, promoting, and enhancing the power. See that theme just read. Remember when money, power, respect. I just every time I think about this situation, I'm thinking about money, power, respect. Fulfilling the personal desires of Combs, particularly those related to Combs' sexual gratification, including through the exploitation of women and the use of commercial sex workers. Now, let me ask a question. Commercial sex workers, because how do you get to be a commercial sex worker? Like,
They're
it's a
commercial sex workers are that's just a, they commercial sex people who go screw different people, prostitutes. That's just a pretty
are
word for
these
court.
people? Is it or is it people in like the porn industry?
Well, I guess depending
Let's
on
Google
who's
that.
viewing it. I think depending on who viewing it, for the most part, I see it all as prostitution only because it was money exchange.
Yeah, but if it's I'm just asking anybody else know y'all can chime in, but it seems like y'all just here for my good looks. I'm just saying. The term commercial sex work individual who engages in those kind of activities, performs or performances or products in exchange for material compensation, which often includes money, goods, or other forms of value. It is a broader and often preferred term over prostitute. So now they
Told you.
like shout out to prostitution. They have now gotten commercial.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's
What is a
kind of
commercial sex worker?
yeah, that's kind of. I mean, if you when you're reading it, I mean, that's obviously what they're taught. They can't. They're not going there. I mean, yeah, they could. It's not prostitution. The word is not
Oh,
illegal.
but listen to what they're saying
What they say?
here. It says it is a broader and often preferred term over prostitute, which many advocacy and academic circles as prostitute can carry significant stigma and often
Hmm.
implies criminality or immorality, right? So
They
let's
spray perfume on the pig. Basically, it's still the
the
same
term
thing. I don't care what they call it.
encompasses a wide range. Well, when I hear commercial sounds legal. You
I can
understand? Like
see that.
you understand what I'm saying? So I'm just looking to see. So now in the definitions of this commercial sex, what are we calling it? Commercial sex worker, besides prostitute, right? So they
Mhm.
give you the scope. The term encompasses a wide range of activities, including but not limited to prostitution, stripping or exotic dancing,
Mhm.
pornography, webcam models and online sex work, phone sex operators, escort services, erotic message, dominatrix services. So I'm assuming that at this point, right, they have kind of made this not such a criminal um type of activity anymore. So let's see what it says further. It says legality. The legality of commercial sex work vary widely across different regions because you do know there are some states where this is
Yeah,
legal.
prostitution is legal. Las Vegas is one of them. I
I was about
understand.
to say, isn't it in
Yeah.
Nevada that you can? I was just about to say
Yeah,
that. I was
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. I think the girls have to get tested or something. It's been years
I
ago, but I remember when it
I
first came
forgot.
out.
I remember when they used to have like those shows and they'd be like, "This is the life of a yeah, okay."
Yeah, yeah,
In the
yeah.
little trailer type houses on a ranch somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, they got something called sugar dating, where relationships are maintained for financial and material support. Karen, I think it's gonna be a wrap. It's 104 to 86. I'm just sitting over here keeping the score. Sorry, I just coming over here. We live to fight another day. I'm getting all happy, but not happy. Okay, so now, let's see. All right. So, a critical distinction often made in discussions about commercial sex work is between voluntary engagement and coercion or exploitation. So, some
Boom.
view sex
So
work
even if
as
Cassie, let me stop you. So even if Cassie, because I hear a lot of people saying she was willing, she was willing. So from what you just read, my understanding is willing or not. Even as
well,
far as Cassie, whether she cooperated,
well,
right?
I thought she was a girlfriend. Is she so she
She
just
he
a hoe?
but
I
Mo,
mean,
you gotta listen. If she was one of 85. He has 17 years on her. And they people was like, oh, she was jealous of Kim Porter and whatever, whatever. You got to think of her age. Even if she was, so what? But she was not his main thing. And I do believe that she had, she had an issue with that. That he's
so
17 years her senior.
is she basically saying he turned her into a sex worker?
Is who saying that? The prosecution?
No, it's Cassie saying that he turned her into a sex worker. I mean,
Cassie's testimony.
either you is or you isn't. Which one is it?
Well, yes. And I'll give you the perfect example. If we go back, because we only need one act, right? So if we go
I don't
even to
know
the
how many we
well, I'm
need.
well, I'm
I don't know how many we need.
there's only one. So if you go to, let's just say the video that we all saw, right?
What
Testimony,
video
what
did we see?
the video with him stomping her head, dragging her down the hall, throwing the vase at her, not allowing her to leave, dragging her by her
So is
collar
that going to
around.
be kidnapping?
Listen, no, listen. Well, actually, it could be. It absolutely could be because we saw her trying to leave and she was stopped and drugged. But at the end of that video, she did ended up leaving. But anyway, dang, now you made me forget what I was going to
Oh,
say.
wait a minute. Cause Miss Indy, the
Hmm.
bottom line is,
Oh
are
no, I
they
got it. I got it. Let me do it, Mo, before I forget. So what I was saying that even in that video that I was just speaking on, even if they were to take that is seen as domestic violence. But when you add in the fact that at that hotel at that moment, there was in this testimony, they were having a freak off then. So if you tie that into what's going on in the room per testimony and how he ran out in a robe and pink striped socks, she was trying to get out of that environment. So if she's trying to leave this freak off and we see what we see, that's illegal. It's not about the domestic violence. It's about, well, actually, it's because we saw the force. Of course, there was fear. I would be scared if someone threw a vase at me and all this, drug me and kicked me. So his intent was to what? We saw it, drag her back into the room for the freak off. You cannot do that on camera
um
and then bribe the people to, for the tape, paid them the money. And look, it still popped up years later. I think he paid $50,000, somebody said. So that's conscious of wrongdoing, of knowing, further covering up, adding more people. That's just how I see it.
all right. Well, I need to go to the actual language because all it has here is 18 USC section, right? So that's just the enterprise component of it. I need the rest of the This is very interesting. I thought this when I read through it earlier, um, regarding the freak offs. And all right, let me come down here because I'm looking for the law to see what he violated. So we know that the enterprise is there. So let's go to the other counts. Oh, here's one. So sections 1961 subsection 1 and subsection 5, right? So multiple acts. So here's the part that I was looking for. Multiple acts involving kidnapping charged under the following provisions of state law. So there we had to been, so these occurred in one, two, three, four. Four of them are within California, and one, two, three, four of them are within New York. So you would first have to figure out where was Kid Cudi's home. It's in California, correct? Did I lose you, Miss Indy?
I'm sorry, I was talking, I was muted up. Yes, you're correct. He's in California, the LA Hills. What's the matter?
Yes. So here's the here here's here's the charges itself, right? In California, it's going to be kidnapping, aiding and abetting. There could be attempted kidnapping. Um, so it's kidnapping, attempted, aiding and abetting, and conspiracy. In New York, it would be kidnapping, attempted, aiding and abetting, and conspiracy. So, um, so it says there's multiple acts of that occurred. In the instance, multiple acts involving arson. And the only state that they list the arson in is in California. So I'm
Hmm.
assuming since it says multiple acts, we're going to hear more about fires being set to people's sheds.
Right. They better, because like I told you,
Multiple,
Mo, like I told you, those opening statements and indictments and stuff. I know we talked about this, but I really pay attention because I listen. If you're going to sit up there and continuously say the evidence will show, the evidence will show, I'm going to be looking for that as a juror. I'm going to be looking at that, I mean, for that as a defense attorney, because I'm going to, you better make sure that you do.
I'm not going to be looking at any of that because what the what the attorneys say is not evidence. So
When they
none of
say
the
the evidence
open
will show, when they say
no,
the
but
evidence will show, there's
that
an
doesn't be that
expectation.
the, even if there's an expectation in your head, the judge is going to tell you at the end of the day, nothing the attorneys
Well,
say
yeah,
is
we know
evidence.
that, Mo. But if
All right,
someone
so whatever
says,
they put out as a narrative is not the evidence. You
I'm not
the
saying
finder
that
of
it's the
facts,
evidence.
the
I understand
finder
that.
of facts, the finder of facts
You're
is that
right.
jury.
That's
So the
correct.
evidence, so they can stand up there to the cows come home and scream at the top of their optics. The evidence is gonna show this, and the evidence is gonna show
Well,
that.
let me tell you this. You're speaking from a long time, long term paralegal. We're talking about people off the streets that are coming in from jury duty, listening to someone tell them that I'm going to show you this, that, and that. If I don't see this, that, and that as a juror, I have a problem. And if I'm the defense and I can poke holes in that, I'm going to jump on it. That's all I'm
You
saying.
do realize, you do realize that the jurors come from our society. So
Right.
sometimes you will get on that jury people who are more analytical
Mm-hmm.
and,
Mm-hmm.
and
I
based
agree.
on very educated. You will
Right.
get some people that are street savvy and street smart. So you have a conglomerate of the community sitting there um before you as your jurors. So the bottom line is it's they get the final say in what the
So
evidence
let me
should have
ask you,
shown.
if I tell
The
you
judge is
Mo,
not going to let. Go ahead.
so if I say I'm Mo, I have this beautiful ring, girl. I'm getting ready to email it to you right now so you can see it. I'm going to, I have this, you can see this, but check it out. Girl, it's beautiful. It's this and this and this and this. And I never send you the picture. Yeah, you heard what I said, but I didn't, you're expecting because I told you to expect this from me. And I do agree, there's all walks of life on all jurors from all, everywhere, educated and everything else. And I do think that's the people that I'm speaking to, the educated people. If you tell me this is what this is going to show, I'm going to be looking for that as an educated person, as a lay person, as just a regular person. If you tell me to expect something and I don't see it, I got a problem with that.
And I'm going to tell you that the judge is going to tell all of the people sitting there that gets to make the decision that
Yeah.
nothing that the attorney said is evidence,
But
no
that's not to my
matter
point.
what
I
it is.
understand that.
The conversation, the opening statement is to give you a preview of the case. However, there are states, this is a federal court, so it's not applicable, but there are state cases where they do not allow for the opening statements or they bypass the opening statements so that the jurors are not manipulated by what you're just saying right here. The evidence will show,
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
then you either don't find it or you've planted a seed that people are pretending that they saw whatever it was that you put in the seed. It's the same thing as when the defense attorneys get up there in opening statements and tell you what the state is not going to be able to prove. And you're sitting there saying, yeah, you know what? Beyond a reasonable doubt, what does that really look like?
Well, I don't
You
think it
you
would be
understand? Like,
wise. I
so
don't think it would be wise for the defense to stand up and say what the prosecution would not be able to prove. My understanding is that the opening statements would be a summary of the case. Why or when, or maybe it's always been a way where the prosecutors like to invoke the term the witness will show, because I see this time and time again. It's almost like it's protocol. And it would be really, really dumb and sour of them to make that statement and don't pull through. Understanding that we know that what they say don't mean nothing until they prove it. That's the point. For them to say that and don't prove it would be detrimental to their case. So I believe if they're saying that, I want to see it. And I believe the jury will want to see it too.
okay, sometimes Miss Indy, when you get to put on your case, you don't get to have the people. uh, Anything can happen. Your witness could die. That was supposed to show what you just promised, and you can't deliver. Or the when you go to put forth that case with that particular thing that the evidence was supposed to show, it gets suppressed because of, look at Kid Cudi, right?
Mm-hmm,
If
mm-hmm,
Kid Cudi's testimony would have been thrown out because of missing fingerprint card, right? The evidence
mm-hmm.
wouldn't show that anymore because they
I
didn't get
agree.
a chance to. You understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I'm not debating. I'm just saying what when they use this word, I'm going to expect something. I don't think it's smart unless like no. But
you
like you
don't
say, life
know.
happens,
You
right?
don't
Because
know
there are
what's gonna happen.
circumstances. I get it. So I don't know why they continue to
I'm gonna
use
give
that
you a. I'm gonna.
term.
I'm gonna give you an example. In the O.J. Simpson trial, right? They had a detective that took the stand. He testified, the glove, Mark Furman. He ended up blowing the whole case
Mhm.
on that end. Uh, is there a win?
What do you mean? Rephrase that. I don't get your question.
No, hold on. It's 111 to 94. Okay.
Oh, girl. I'm
Yeah,
like, wait a
it's
minute.
like a win. Oh, see, that's my announcement. That's what it sounds like it was. Okay. Where are we? What
You were
I'm just
talking about
saying to you,
Mark Furman
I
on the
was
stand
talking
in the
about Mark
club.
Furman. Right.
Hmm.
And so then the case turned into Mark Furman being a racist. And because he was a racist and he lied about some things that he may and may not have said in some other instances, it blew.
We didn't see it like that in California, as far as Mark Furman said.
Ability
We
to
just
stop it on
saw
that.
we saw, oh, I'm sorry, we didn't see that way in California. The majority of people just saw him as not credible. Yes, we all knew he was racist, but
Right.
that's
So
not
if they proved him to be not credible, what happened to the evidence? The evidence didn't show that because when the jurors went back there to deliberate, because he lost
right.
credibility on the stand, it was not considered anymore.
I
Any
understand.
longer.
So my thing is it wise? Do you think, do you think that it's wise for
I'm not
Oprah?
an attorney, so I'm not gonna. I'm
Okay,
not
well,
going to listen, Miss Indy. You are in the beginning stages again, right? When you when you deal in this, you're just gonna deal in one concept, what a reasonable person would think in the same circumstance. Like if it was a police officer, what would a reasonable police officer with the same exact facts in front of him do? What would a reasonable, you just get to the reasonable person part of it, not all this extra stuff. But
no, I'm right there being reasonable. If you say the evidence will show, I'm going to expect it. If something happens to that evidence, that doesn't mean that in my mind, then the whole case is gone. I just won't be using that. I'm going to be looking for more information, and that's on both sides. Because again, if I'm here for justice, then that's my duty. But no, I
well,
get it. And we
in
know
this
that what they say
in
is
this
not
case,
evidence.
in this case, the indictment says
Mhm.
that the evidence should show multiple acts involving arson in
Okay.
California. So
Right.
it's going to be, so multiple acts, though, could be one incident, and the multiple acts could be the arson itself and then the aiding and abetting of the in the conspiracy to cover it up. Like so it could be the multiple acts
Hmm.
could be any one of these four things. Any one of these four things, but it has to be multiple because that's what they said that's what they charged them with. Multiple acts. So they should be able to prove these multiple acts.
Are you? It doesn't say, because I'm,
Multiple
I'm not
acts.
looking at it. Are they saying multiple
It
acts
does.
within? Wait a minute, Mo. Within this isolated situation with Kid Cudi, or acts over the years, over
It said between the period of time of 2004 and
Mhm.
2024. But then
Okay.
that's when you go to the law itself, right? This is
Yeah.
the charging document. And then you
Yeah.
look at the law itself and it'll say whatever the law says. I haven't
Hmm.
pulled it up. I don't want, because I'm dealing with you, I don't want to quote something. I don't want to say something and then it's actually not what's there. I don't want to just make it up off the cuff.
What do you mean dealing with
Um,
me?
Because you are, yeah, girl, bye. Dealing with
Girl.
you, I want to be concise and
Okay.
on point.
I
I want to,
appreciate
I
it.
don't want to
Okay.
be, I don't, I don't want to willy nilly with it because I read somewhere where it said 10 years, or you said something about 10 years.
No, you read something,
All
and I
right.
think it was like 13 years. Something was 10 years max. And I think what we had came to consensus is that had been
Yes. So
13.
me
And so,
personally,
mhm.
I wouldn't even want this before the jurors if it's not something like this is prejudicial to my client. If you're
Mhm.
going to allow something that they're not going to be able to deliberate on, be presented to him, to be presented before them as something that they They won't be able to consider it, but you've already planted that seed, like, the evidence
Mm-hmm.
show in their
Right.
head of something they cannot consider
And I don't
because
know why the defense not
lawfully
all
they
over that.
can't.
He's paying them a lot of money. I haven't heard that raised. And obviously not
Because
because
again, the job of a defense attorney is to represent the defendant and to get you can allow these people to make reversible error by just pointing it out, like they filed the motion was denied. If it comes back, this is something that they can file an appeal on and get a reversible error based on a decision, and then their person works free again or gets tried again. If you get enough of those. So some people are sitting at that table for the sole purpose of getting to the appeals level if he's
Mhm.
found guilty. So
I
it's
agree.
on
I,
two
I agree that
tracks.
that arson could be, like you said, as far as a juror, they just may just stick in their head. Maybe they see something they didn't see, or however, if that were to be erased and they never put that in there, that kidnapping and the prescription pills is still on there too. So they really didn't even have to put that on there. But like I said, I don't think they're using, I mean, I get what you're saying, but for the testimony that was given, he had to come in there
You
and
don't have to think,
confirm.
but Miss Indy, we don't have to think about what they're using. All we have to do is go to the charges and see
Right.
what they're going with, what they charged him with.
Mm-hmm.
So, multiple acts of kidnapping, multiple acts involving arson, multiple acts involving bribery,
Mm-hmm.
multiple acts in indicatable. Wait a minute. Under all right, tampering with the witness,
Mm-hmm.
multiple acts, forced labor, um, the sex trafficking again, and multiple acts, the transportation.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
I
that's
gotta
that's a
I gotta
sex
read
trafficking.
stuff and then worry about how I'm gonna word it for YouTube purposes. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
why, that's why you see me doing this. Okay, so now all the way down to H. So I don't know what number H is, but H, multiple offenses. So now, see how the other things were acts. Now these are offenses involving the possession with intent to distribute narcotics and controlled substances. So I think for YouTube purposes, I'm just going to say controlled substances,
Okay.
including all of the other stuff that has white that looks white and goes up people's noses. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Because they got a list of them here, and it's just crazy. I knew this
Mm-hmm.
when I read this, or when I looked at this, I was like, this is gonna be nasty with YouTube. I can just imagine how people are covering this though, because you can't say but so much. Okay,
Hmm.
so you've got the narcotics that spoke of, or the controlled substances, but it's aiding, abetting, and willfully causing.
Which I
As the
think some of them would have been charged with as co-conspirators had they not testified, because
well, they
that's what
were
they said they
handing
were going
out
to do.
well, they were handing out get out of jail free cards this week to people that testified. At
Mm-hmm.
least the one guy. It was a part of a conspiracy. Okay. So I think as I'm reading this, the narcotics and the stuff that you speak of are part of a conspiracy. That's why they're offenses opposed to being an act. Because the conspiracy is, where's my conspiracy paper? It
A
conspiracy is
conspiracy is
wait,
when two or more people conspire. They have to have a meeting of the minds in agreement to do a specific crime. They have to be,
is it a
together
crime
on.
or is it an act?
An act.
An act. Okay.
They have to have the meeting of the minds and understanding and agreement. This is what we are going to do. Are you with me? Yes. That's conspiracy.
So that's where the drugs are gonna fall under. They're all part of a conspiracy, but they're not actual, they're not the actual charge. They're the part of the conspiracy is using the drugs. Remember, I think that's because she used the drugs before the acts and in some of her sexual activities, she was saying that she was under the influence, so she really wasn't an active participant because she was incoherent. All
And
right.
well, another one of the men, he testified that he had also been drugged. He was so, I forgot what they gave him. It wasn't that it was, well, I won't even say it. It was something that he described that made him feel just happy. He said he was outside in New York. Was he New York? Yeah, New York, passing out $100 bills to people.
Who?
This is what the one of the it was a white guy, I can tell you that much. One of the, and maybe 2 days ago, a witness. I know he was a white guy, but he testified. So he
The
was, I mean,
employee.
was he an
It was the employee.
employee? I
He
don't
was.
remember what, I
Well,
don't
girl, all
remember.
right.
I'm trying to
We'll
think.
figure out
Okay.
who he was later. Well, the next
Okay.
time we come together, we'll figure out who he was.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Um, I'm not liking the way that this stuff is coming up anymore. I'm gonna have to do this at
You want to move to the sex
work.
trafficking? I have that pulled up.
Which number is that? Is that the
I
1961
just, I
Indy
know
trial?
just the elements, and then I was gonna let you do that part and see if we can figure it.
Well, where are you getting the elements from?
From
Are
my
you
papers from my
reading it?
school. Look, from my
Are you
papers
reading
from
it
my school.
direct?
From my, what you
Are,
say?
are you reading it straight out of the law, or are you reading it as it's been broken down by somebody?
Well, it's been broken down by me in my class. Okay,
From
I'll just
out
let
of
you do
where?
it. I'll just
No,
let you
no,
do it
from
by
out of where? No, from out of where? That's what I'm
from
asking you.
out of
Where
from
you
out of
read-
Westlaw and Nexus for one
Okay,
of
so go
my.
ahead. I'm just I'm asking you to cite your sources. You shouldn't be getting all like, I don't want to do
No,
it.
I said I
Cite your
wasn't going to do it.
sources.
I'm like, but now I feel bad. Maybe I should just go, but I don't have now that my semester is over. I don't have the log in stuff to Westlaw. My login stuff. The semester's
So
over. I only had it for that semester. So I'll just wait. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I'm looking over here. I'm looking over here because I'm trying to pull it up. So I think I got it from the U.S. Department of Justice. I went to their website.
Okay.
So we're at section 18. So this is 9. Oh, this is gonna be a la 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 criminal. So let me just make that. Hold up. I'm looking for maybe it says Title 9, but what was I'm looking for Title 18. Okay. So why you bring me over here to Title 9 when I'm looking for Title 18? Hold up. All right. So I'm just saying I don't like the way this new Title 18. Let's see if it's here. Chapter 9. Hold up. Let me just make sure. This is an amendment to it. Section 1961. Okay. Definitions. All right. I'm right at the law, girl. Okay.
Okay.
So it's 1 and then it is 5, right? So we already been through 1. So let me go to 5. Pattern. So a pattern of racketeering activity requires these
Uh-huh.
2 acts of racketeering activity. So that's going to answer the saying he needs to do one thing, he needs to do 2 things.
Mm-hmm.
So now we know they need to do two things. So it's a pattern of racketeering activity requires at least two acts of racketeering activity, one of which occurred after the effective date of this chapter. So whatever date that was. We'll find out when I look up at the top. And the last of which occurred within 10 years.
So
let's see.
so I need to go find out when the pills, oh, so I'm sorry, what you said to say, I forgot what you said. The substance that was used in other people's names from I mean, well, I didn't hear testimony to this, but as many people who has testified that they had them in their names multiple times and they know of multiple others. This is what they're testifying to, who also did that. I can't see, I mean, that had to been over a time span. So if they're able, but I do need to see, get some dates on that, but that and that kidnapping charge, I think those are the two. And then the extortion. They may be able to get it if the jury believes Cassie's mother about that extortion, about that $20,000 or this and that and that and that. And they paid it and she came in there and testified. So
I do agree. I do agree with you based on here. It says any act or threat involving, it's not that one. So murder's one, kidnapping. So here's how it reads: murder, kidnapping, gambling, arson, robbery, bribery, extortion, dealing in obscene matter, or dealing in a controlled substance. So what we see from the indictment to the thing, it looks like it's kidnapping, arson, bribery might be one of them. I didn't really see bribery written here. I don't remember reading bribery. Extortion, I remember seeing extortion down there. And substance abuse. So those are the acts. They all would have had to occur after 1968 and before 10 years of whenever this thing was indicted. So if it's 2024 when he was indicted, it has to be 20, well, 20, no,
2015, if we're in
20,
2025.
today is 2025, but he was
Oh, but
indicted
they
in
arrested him last
2024.
year. So 14,
So it has to
2014.
be between 2014 and 2015. And Kid Cudi's car again was caught on fire. And so it's less likely to be arson, but it could be the kidnapping chart. The kidnap. Well, those didn't have. If everything happened on that January day.
No, there were multiple people who testified at some point of him forcing them into a vehicle to do certain things, forcing them to go certain places, including pick up to pick up stuff, in state and out of state. I mean, out the country.
Okay, but the thing, um, hmm, let me see something. What was amended effective 2022? I'm looking to see which one. Did you learn how to shepherdize stuff yet?
How to what?
I'll tell you later.
I didn't hear you.
Oh, shepherd. When you looking through Westlaw.
I don't know. I may know. I don't know if we call it that. I haven't heard of that. You can show me though, please.
Where you?
Well, I got to get my Westlaw stuff together. I really have fun. I really have fun digging around and playing around up in there, and how one thing leads you to another and another. I just had a good time with that.
So it's when you look at the law itself, and then you look at to make sure you're looking at the most current version of the law.
Oh, yes, and watch for the red flags if things have been overturned or changed.
Correct.
Yes.
So what are they calling that today?
And I'm
I think
embarrassed because I just came out that damn.
no,
I don't remember.
it's Shepherd at Shepherd.
I just never heard her say that, but I do know exactly what you're talking about because we went over that. I'm trying to think what class was it? We just like went over that, and she was explaining about the.
Shepherdized.
Okay,
Yeah,
so if I hear that, I know what it is now.
yeah, it's when you're looking at a case, but you want to make sure you're looking at the most or you're looking at a law, not the case. You're looking at a law itself and you want to make sure you have the most current version of the law. You shepherdize it to see how many different um iterations it's been through and what's the final state of it because that's what you're gonna have that's
Hmm.
what you're using.
Yes.
So they really call it, some people could just call it like good law, but
Oh, that was legal research. I could not get that class. Legal research. Yeah, we went over that.
you didn't get that. Oh yeah, because that's what you would be doing, legal research, and in order to find out what the statutes are and stuff in it, and you would have to do that, or you would at least have to know that because you want to have the most current. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
say that it's anything that occurred between 2014 and 2024 when he got arrested. And then I'm gonna go back. Cudi's thing happened. Did I do that on my phone? I don't care. His thing happened. You know why it stands out to me? Because
Why?
in the indictment, it doesn't list dates. It just lists a period of time.
Oh.
Normally
Now. Mhm.
when people, prosecutors or people filing stuff give you windows of time, I'm always concerned because they didn't specify, right? Because normally you would say on or about January, whatever, 20, this exactly this happened, right? Here, they're just saying from at least 2021. Like, what you mean from at least 2021? When did this just occur? Like,
Well,
so
the
those are the things that
witnesses, they laid a foundation, and I agree. It seems like some type of strategy not to have it in the
it's
indictment.
it's not a strategy. It's not a strategy that they left it out. It is avoiding when you see something like that, you know
Mhm.
that they are missing information or don't like it's not
Right.
good
So that would be a
practice.
strategy because they're trying to cover that up. They don't want you to know that. But the witnesses whom they are calling, when they lay the foundation, when did you meet Diddy? What year was this? What did you do? So they're getting the juror, and I assume they're taking notes. They would have that information. It didn't dawn on me until you just said it though, that the dates weren't in there. I was just so at a gasp at what I was reading. And I'm like, you better prove all of this shit because this is, I'm sorry, you better prove all of this stuff because this is some heavy stuff that you putting on this man.
Yeah, but if you notice here, right? So I think we're gonna get out of racketeering and we're gonna go down to count two. All right, count two starts with the trafficking of the people's body parts, right? By
Mm-hmm.
force, fraud, or coercion, right? So
Right.
here we go again. From at least about 2009 up to and including in or about 2018. Now, 2018 will fall into the time period, maybe, if that is in this section. Hold up, let me go to that
What was that
section.
video? When was that video done? The video that we all saw that I spoke about.
I don't know.
I'll have
I
to see if that
I
falls in
I
between
don't
them.
know. But in this violation, it is going to be Title 18 USC section 1591. So that's a whole nother section. Hold up. So I need to go to 1591, but we're in 16. I think this just starts the 16, so I gotta go back. This is So section 16, 1961. What am I looking for? 1591. So I gotta go back a couple of I'm gonna know which chapter that's in. So let's just go back. Um, let me go back. Hold up. Give me a second. So we're gonna go USC. I'm gonna have to pull these at work. USC title 18, section 1591. And this is gonna be
Recruitment, transportation, transfer, and harboring, receipt of persons
yeah,
for a
but
job.
I
Mhm.
want to see what's the statute of because this is interesting. So they try to pull up the pattern to show you that there's a pattern of the activity, but here's the ones that we can try. But understand that this person has been doing it for this long period of time. But these are the ones that fall within the statute, fall within our purview right now. So 1591 actually says children too. That's kind of interesting. Let me go back to the same section I was at before by the same people because I want to get the same. Hold up. I should have looked to see who I was using. I don't think it was them. I think I was using them. All right, let's go to this one. So 18 USC section 1591. We're looking for E. All right, so E is abuse or threatened abuse of law or legal process. All right. This is the coercion part. So it's one, it's two. Yeah, this is the coercion part. It doesn't say a time limit. But this is very interesting. Mm, very interesting. How old was
So
Cassie
are
when
they,
she
do we
met
know if
him?
they're charging, do we know if they're charging as far as that arson, was that charged as a felony or a misdemeanor? Let me look. I don't even know. Let me see.
No, because remember, this is outside of the statute of limitations. That's what I'm saying about.
Yeah, you're right. I firmly believe that his testimony, he had to confirm with the
That's
other
not the smoking
witnesses.
gun here, though. That's not the smoking
Right.
gun here. Go look at 18 USC section 1591.
Girl, bye. Just read it.
I can't read it because of YouTube.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll write it down and look at it. I'll
Okay,
write it down and
because
look at
it is all right. Let me read something of it to you,
it. Hmm.
and it might hit you. But you, because you are so animated, I
Am I?
need
I'm
you.
sorry.
Yes, I'm gonna need you to curtail it if you think you got it. Okay,
Okay.
listen to this.
Okay. Okay.
Whoever knowingly dot 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 da, da, da. Okay, or that the person has not attained the age of 18 and
Hmm.
will be caused to engage in a commercial sex act shall be punished as provided in subsection B. But down here, it says whoever obstructs, attempts to obstruct, or in any way interferes with or prevents the enforcement of this section shall be fined under this title imprisoned for a term not to exceed 25 years of age. So remember how they was doing all of this stuff and they were talking about minors? I could use that word. I find this to be very interesting because this would be a charge related to minors. Did you hear anything in this case about minors?
No, I know, unless it's something coming down. Is that in the, I don't even know. Well, no, unless it's something coming down the pipe. They still have a couple more weeks of witnesses, although they say they're moving ahead of schedule.
Just her, right?
I didn't hear you.
No, I think they would have said something if it, I think they would have said something if it really was related to that. That's very interesting. All right. So A1, let me just make sure I'm in the right thing. 1591, A1.
I know there are provisions separately for each, for the minor and for over 18, and the elements are there.
All right, but in B1, right? Forgetting because A1 is whomever knowingly in or affecting interstate or foreign commerce or within the special transports, provides, obtains, advertise, maintains, patronize, or solicits by any means a person. So that's A1. Okay, and then there's B1. So I don't understand why B1 would be there. If the offense was affected by means of force or by any combination of such means, or if the person recruited, enticed, harbored, transported, provided, obtained, advertised, solicited, had not attained the age of 14 years at the time of such offense by a fine under this title and imprisonment for any term of years not less than 15 or for life. So that's very interesting because that's B1 and that's in that section. Are you sure that these are the actual, is this their actual indictment?
Yeah.
You got it from the
Why wouldn't it be? Hold on.
Because people make up everything and put it on this internet and we just come up snatching it up.
Hold on.
You know what I'm saying? Like this is why I never trust this internet, because I don't know why that would be there. That's just weird to me. All right.
This is Department of Justice.
What I'm gonna have to do, I'm gonna have to look at this. See, normally you get this kind of thing, and then I would be writing down, like when I did the YSL thing, I went straight to the indictment. And then every time I think they hit something that was in the indictment, I made a little notation next to it and be like, they might approve this little thing right here.
I'm listening to you. So, okay, that's the right one, because that one was that one added a superseding it, so it added a couple of pages. I'm looking at the original one, and this is from the Justice Department, justice.gov. The original one I'm looking is 14 pages. So once it was superseded, they added. So yeah.
Okay. We're gonna have to do a little bit more due diligence on our part, even though like we're not the big YouTube
I'm just enjoying myself though. I'm enjoying myself, just learning and watching, and not just this case. I watch different cases, and just to get a feel. And I'm supposed to be going down to see one of my professors he's still a practicing defense attorney. And
Mm-hmm.
so he invited us the class down earlier in the semester. I can talk about it now because it's over, and he did win it. But it was an older guy in his 50s, and basically he was accused of poking somebody and ending their life. And so he was able to get him, I shouldn't say get him off, but he was able to plead self-defense, and that man was able to go home to his family. I feel bad about, the victims and stuff. I mean, that got to be hard, because at the end of the day, your loved one is still gone, you know. But
Yeah.
anyway, just to fill the courtroom, and we're gonna get to go back and talk to the judge and the chambers and stuff like that. So I'm kind of geeked about it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's always but you don't want to go into criminal law, right?
No, I haven't decided either family law. I don't know. I may want to be a paralegal for a judge. It's just so many different avenues and just so many doors, and I just haven't decided. I'm just excited. I'm just excited. And then I do want to further my education. I don't want to stop here. I do plan to, further it. So we'll just see where it goes. We'll see
We
where it
certainly
goes.
will. We certainly will. And when do you return back to classes? When do they start again?
My summer class starts on the 9th. That'll be law office management. It's only a few weeks, and then I'll jump right back into my final semester in August. And let's get
Okay.
it.
Let's go. Anyway, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get up out of here, but we could come
Okay,
back. Since you are not in class yet next week, we could come back next week, next Thursday, and
absolutely.
dig this a little bit deeper. We'll exchange information and see if we could find anything else on this indictment. I'm gonna have to go
Okay.
look in some. I'm gonna have to go look in somewhere else. I just can't believe that they put that E number in there, like that E letter in there, because
I'm
of
gonna have
what
to
it
go look
says
at it.
about
I'm gonna have
age.
to go look at it. Okay.
That's just
Well, thank you for
interesting.
having me. I
And thank you for
thoroughly,
coming over.
thoroughly enjoyed myself. Class was in session today,
So there
thoroughly.
you go. Anyway, we'll
And
do this again.
congratulations on your win.
Oh yeah, we got two more of those to go. Okay.
Okay, well, good luck to that. And I'll talk to you later. Thank you.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, okay, bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Okay, this is Mo. I got to go. Let me find this darn music to get up out of here. The music that some people who pretend they never saw me before, they just gonna pretend out of nowhere. They heard the music for the first time. I can't with these people. Anyway, can't make this up. This is Mo. I've got to go.
And box,